Live.
Let's have a little look.
Phones to tell us.
Just double check now. I know it takes a couple of minutes, doesn't it, just to get in. Let's have a little look. Good afternoon, if you're tuning in.
Yeah, welcome one, welcome all.
Let's have a
it's
look.
nice doing these lives because I got like a real video sort of record of how weird my hair is getting over the.
Is this your lockdown hair? Is it, Dave?
This is lockdown hair, yeah.
We're live. Cool. Happy days. Yeah. Hey guys. It's another edition of the Tuesday Tune In. So we had a little chat about what today's going to be about. Because normally, even though these are Q&As essentially, we always like to have like a theme about things. We've talked about fitness a lot. We talked about equipment a lot. We talked about the battle of the treks, which was a good one. Last week we chat a bit more about Machu Picchu because it was sort of a brand new trip, and it was April's EverTrek favorite, if you like. Firstly, congratulations to Diane. I don't know if you were with us on the first, but she won the day trek to Machu Picchu, to Rainbow Mountain. So she's got something to look forward to. The rest of her family. So I know Diane usually tunes in, so I'm sure she'll be on soon. Today, Dave, what was today again? We were talking about
today sort of essentially. So everything that we do involves going to high altitude, what would be considered extreme altitude. So we're going to cover off one of the most popular sort of Q&As that we get, which is what are the dangers of trekking to high altitude? We're going to cover off a lot of things, about what are the typical dangers, what are you likely to experience, what are some of the reasons why people might actually not make it to Everest Base Camp? Because, although there are some unusual circumstances and it is largely an individual thing, there are some common threads that if you're aware of before you go, you'll be able to avoid them, manage them, and then hopefully, have a successful trip to base camp. So, it's one of my favorite topics, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. We did. If any of you have been following us for a while, back in December, we did a Mountain Malarkey podcast episode. If you haven't listened to that yet, I highly recommend you do listen to it. It is pretty much on the same thread, if you like, which is talking about the dangers. And we know that over the last sort of few months, we've had lots of new followers. Lots of people join the community. So, we thought we'd like to discuss it again, because there's one thing about altitude that we've learned is that it's not for everyone. It is hard, it's challenging, it's what makes it exciting. It's why we like it, It's why lots of EverTrekkers choose to go to, whether it be Kilimanjaro, Everest, you're climbing a 6,000 meter peak. So it's important. So, but like anything, and back when we did talk about this, it was in the news a lot, certainly around how dangerous, Everest was, especially around Everest Base Camp, because there was a guy from South Wales, actually, not too far from us, who passed away. I believe, Dave, it was back.
Well, it was
in autumn, wasn't it?
It was October. It was a day ahead of us.
That's right. You were there.
Myself and the old man went up there. So I think he passed away sadly at Le Boucher.
Yeah.
So we were in Dingboche on our acclimatization day when that happened. So sadly we heard about it when we went back up there. It's really difficult to get any information back. So I don't know what happened there. Certainly things like that can happen, and they do happen, although it is infrequent on the way to base camp. When we were talking about, how dangerous Everest can be, that's another reason why we like to have these, how dangerous is Everest Base Camp, or Kilimanjaro, or any high altitude trekking experience, because Everest tends to cast a big shadow over everything, everything you read with the title Everest in it, people will associate to do with trekking, so we have to dispel myths about, are you walking past dead bodies and littered oxygen bottles and things like that on the way to Everest Base Camp, which it's apples and oranges. It's so different. And like on Kilimanjaro, things can go wrong. You might have to be evacuated and things like that. So, but when it comes to just altitude and how dangerous altitude is, I think it is manageable to a large degree.
Well, it is, massively. I mean, like we've got a community, especially the Facebook group. If you haven't joined it yet, the High Altitude EverTrekkers, definitely get yourself in there. So a lot of people in there who have trekked the high altitude. They're back. We get a lot of customers who kind of go to high altitude, and obviously us as well, who regularly go to high altitude. It's one thing. I mean, Dave, you said it probably best when we did the Mount Malarkey episode, which was really around managed danger, compared to normal danger, because there's definitely different levels of it.
Yeah, exactly. When you go to any high altitude trekking or climbing experience, there is a risk. There's an element of risk involved. It's not a holiday. It is adventure travel. You do go there and you have to manage risk. And I think the way we like to do it is what we like to call like an intelligent approach to risk, So it comes off the back of education and experience. Now, not everybody who goes on the trip will have all of that. That's why our guides do. So all of our guides are highly educated, highly experienced, and they know how to manage high altitude. And that way, it gives you a platform to be able to enjoy your trip. Because when we talk about like what is and isn't risk, when you're at high altitude, your body will feel differently, your mind will feel differently, you'll think differently, and the decisions that you make won't always be the ones you would have made at sea level. So how do you know what is the right decision to make? How do you know whether you need to continue or turn back? How do you know whether you're drinking enough or eating enough? Because everything is different. So we do take a managed and intelligent approach to it, which is off the back of tried and tested methods for acclimatization, and also regular health checks and things like that. The guides will be completing oxygen levels. They'll know by your pace and things that are imperceptible to you. You might feel okay, but you might be significantly slower than you were the day before. So the guide will know, right, okay, well, we need to have a chat, talk about your hydration, talk about your food, talk about how you're feeling, headaches, things like that. And then on the other side of it, which is us as trekkers, we have to have an intelligent approach by we can't just tunnel vision, you can't just nail it. It's not just summit fever. It's not to the top no matter what. It is, okay, I'll be honest, because if you're honest, you will reach the top. If you try and hide your symptoms and hide the fact that you might be in difficulty, almost certainly what you're doing there is signing your own free helicopter ride back to Kathmandu, because they will come back and bite you, and you would have perhaps missed an opportunity to sort of deal with them when they were really manageable. I know I'm waffling a little bit, but hopefully,
mate, you educate me now. No, it's always, and it's a very good point. That's why I let you go into it, because I know that, like on the podcast episode, you were bang on when you need to take an intelligent approach. It's like anything. I mean, when you're trekking and you're trying to enjoy yourself, the altitude can be hard. It can make you a bit down. It's one of those things that, like, and this is why we're talking about it now. Like, we're not talking it to say, oh my God, it's hard. Is that we want to tell you how it is, so that when you do go up there, you're not surprised. And if you're on the live and you've been to high altitude, definitely tell us your experiences, because it's always good to engage and talk about it. Because, like me and Dave, we've been to trekking at altitude dozens of times, and it's always kind of, we're always learning. It doesn't matter how many times we go to altitude.
Well, I mean, I think I said it when I was in Kilimanjaro. I said that every time you go to altitude is the first time, essentially. Meaning you can't rely on how you felt the time before if you've had a long gap. Some might go to altitude once a year. So I might go to Kilimanjaro. The last time I went to base camp was a year ago. You can't rely on how I felt then, because I would have changed. I may be fitter or less fit. I may, my body just might be struggling a little bit with any aspect of traveling, fatigue, a virus. And then all of a sudden that will affect your acclimatization. And in fact, it happened to me on Kilimanjaro.
Talk us through that, because I know it was something you really experienced before.
Exactly. So I've been to Everest Base Camp in October, and really had like flew it, felt fine, acclimatized well, next to no headaches, high energy. And then in February, so very close, we went to Kilimanjaro, and I automatically kind of assumed that I would pretty much fare how I was in October. I was at the same weight, the same fitness, the same everything. So, felt good. But but it was different. My body acclimatized differently to how it did. I mean, that's partly due to the nature of Kilimanjaro as opposed to base camp. But yeah, so after about, I think it was on day 4 of base camp trek of a Kilimanjaro climb, and we went up to a place called the Lava Tower. And all of a sudden I started feeling some symptoms that I've never felt before with altitude.
Yeah, you were rough, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it felt like I had a piercing headache, and it was strange. It was like I wasn't entirely in control of my motor functions. So like, although I didn't feel really dizzy or anything like that, but I found myself like, rather than walking step by step by step, you kind of like cross over your legs, like that a little bit. Just a bit unsteady. And I remember getting like frustrated by that, because I was like, oh, what's going on?
I can remember. You're like, this isn't normal.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really hard to describe. But yeah, it was all of a sudden just like, I don't know, like my mind felt well, but every part of my body was hurting a bit, and a bit nauseous and a bit dizzy and things like that. So yeah, at that point, for the first time in my trekking and climbing experience, I decided to take Diamox. Now, anytime you talk about altitude, like Diamox and altitude are sort of, bosom buddies, but the main thing that I did, everyone's a doctor and everyone's an expert when it comes on to Diamox. Get advice from a proper doctor, a proper healthcare professional. Now, I went to a place, Nomad Travel Clinics, where I spoke to someone.
They're great there, aren't they?
Yeah, who was a qualified travel medic who had been to high altitude and knew about Diamox and knew about its uses. So I got a proper prescription and a dose. But then I also spoke to my guide, and yes, our guide, let him know that I was taking it, let him know the dose and stuff like that, because the dose may change depending on how you change. And the best person to make that call when you're on the mountain is your guide.
You've got to be open to them as well, haven't you? Because you've got to be. I mean, over the last few years, we've had rare occasions where we've had to evacuate people. Been very fortunate in terms of our success rate of being very high, especially on Everest. 100% on Kili up to now. Which is pretty good. But you have to be open and honest with your guide. It's important, Dave, isn't it? Like, if you would, especially when you take a medication, because if anything does get serious, we need to know what you've had, what you're going through. If you're taking painkillers,
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and also the guide, like Yessi on Kilimanjaro, he summited Kilimanjaro 400 times, and that level of experiences makes him an expert, and on almost all of those climbs, he's guided clients. So there's nothing he hasn't seen, there's nothing he hasn't dealt with, and there's no problem too big or too small that he won't take time to help you with. And that's the same whether you're in Machu Picchu, base camp, Morocco, anywhere you go. The guides are your most valuable resource in making sure that you get to the summit.
100%.
And it helped me, like I said. And I think everyone's a little bit, even on the group, I think people they assume when they go with you and you've been to altitude lots of times that you'll be at the front, that you'll be the strongest.
But yeah,
so
same every time, isn't it? Because like you said earlier, you've got to acclimatize the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, taking Diamox for me was not. It was. I had to do it. It made a huge difference. Now, John from Brecon is actually on live. So
I know. I was thinking. I haven't seen him on a live for probably nigh on 6 months. So welcome, John. It's about time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So John is our. If you've been on a training weekend or you're booked on a training weekend, he's our sort of. I suppose he's the closest thing to a guide we have. We basically let him pick the route, find the route, do all the stuff, cook us chili maybe.
He always gets along, doesn't he? He's a great guy to have.
Yeah, exactly. And he does raise a good point as well, which is, when it comes to, aside from Diamox, and I can talk about some of the side effects of Diamox because there are a few. Annoying, not dangerous really. Is hydration and nutrition, and also sort of mindset and morale. And one of the big things he said there is sugary sweets to help keep your energy up. I massively agree with that, but more so than my energy is my mood that they tend to help.
They're pick me up, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So when we came down from Kili, and we'd been going 12 hours at that point, and we were back at Barathru base camp, and I was rummaging through my bag looking for batteries or something, and I found some fizzy cola bottles.
Yeah, I did see you smile at that point.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, yes! You know. So
yeah. Say hello to everyone that's on as well. I know we've had a few more now. I love Facebook. As soon as we've been on 10 minutes, everyone seems to come on. So thanks for joining us, Russell, Ian, John, Sital. Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, awesome. So Sital's actually asked an interesting question, which is, does fitness levels have a part to play when it comes to altitude sickness?
Great question. I
was
going to say,
come up.
We've no. Basically, when it comes to, I'll take this first, Dave. But yeah, when it comes to fitness levels, it's something that altitude's a real leveler. It doesn't matter how fit you are. It does help, and we always encourage people to do plenty of training. You know, get out hiking. You know, with your pack on your back. You know, when you can. You know, get out in the gym, do some cardiovascular work. But ultimately, when you're altitude, it's a real leveler. It's really what you can control when you're out there. So you talk about hydration, speed, you know, just keeping a positive mindset, the things you can control.
Yeah.
But when it comes to fitness levels, it doesn't really mean that's going to help you essentially, or, you know, it's like as a competition.
Yeah.
It's really about your mindset. If you want to get, and, you know, I've always been quite strong on this. If you know, since the beginning, since we started EverTrek, is that we want to help anyone get to Everest Base Camp, because we've seen a lot of people of varying fitness levels get to Everest Base Camp to Kili. I mean, just to use a couple of examples, you know, I'll talk about, you know, and if James is watching, because he usually does some of our lives, he came to Kili with us in February. He'll admit himself, you know, he wasn't in great shape. He rarely does any form of hiking, but he made the summit of Kilimanjaro, almost 6,000 meters. Because of this, he was very determined to reach his goal. He was knackered afterwards, you know. He was, but you know, if it was easy, you know, everyone would do it. But that's the challenge is what makes it, you know.
Yeah, it is one of those altitude. Yeah, fitness is one of those interesting things where I never want to persuade people from getting fit, but then I also don't want them to rely solely on fitness to get to the top, you know, because some people, you know, the fitter you are, the easier you'll find the day-to-day trekking, because don't forget, you are still walking up and down hills. You know, so the fitter you are, the easier that part of it will be, and the less you'll exert yourself. But it's also about striking that balance, because a lot of people, and we've experienced it quite a few times on the trip, when they're really mega focused, mega driven, seriously competitive, and used to pushing their body to the limit, find it very hard to rein that part of it in, because it's ingrained in their success back home. You know, they're the fittest people in the world back home, but then when they come to base camp or Kilimanjaro, they're still fit. But the problem is that day one is really easy to go hard. Day two is really easy to go hard. Day three is really easy to go hard. Day four is still really easy to go hard, but by that point, the damage has been done. You know, those 3 days where you thought nothing was changing, everything was changing. You know, and already you've kind of signed your own sort of. I'm not going to say that. You've signed your own sort of
shopper club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, at that point, then. So the way I always liken it is, if you arrive 2 hours faster than me on day one, 2 hours faster than me on day two, 2 hours faster than me on day three, I've had 6 more hours adjusting to altitude than you have had. You know, and that's what makes you strong, is the acclimatization, not how fit you are.
Exactly.
And then, you know, that's just on 3 days. You know, if it's like 8 days, you know, I've had 16 hours more than you to acclimatize.
Yeah, it makes a hell of a difference, doesn't it?
You know, and that 16 hours more acclimatization means that I'll then be the hare, and whoever that is will be the tortoise, even though they're an athlete and I'm not.
Yeah, it makes a lot of difference. So Sital, I hope that answers your question. And like we say, we always encourage anyone to keep up their fitness. I mean, we were over the last sort of week or so, we've been because we're collaborating with the Altitude Centre in London. It does lead me on to another question that someone else has asked, Andy, actually. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you, mate. Join us. Yeah, so we were in touch with the Altitude Center, and we're putting something together around, preparation. They're a great team based in London, and they do have, certain training plans that we'll go through, because we've got our own, but we are working alongside someone like the Altitude Center. Great for us, great for you guys. So we'll certainly be rolling that out soon.
Exactly.
It's, any form of training, especially cardiovascular, strength in the legs is so important when essentially you're walking. So whatever makes walking easier for you helps. So yeah, I mean, certainly
we've all done it where we've been running or cycling or walking and the legs give up. It's game over then. You're just looking at these things that won't work, and it's a nightmare. Actually, I just spotted Caroline. Hello. We spoke to base camp. I forgot to tell you when I was on the phone because I didn't realize until afterwards. I'm actually on the same trip as you. So in
Nice.
in April next year.
Okay.
That's one of the trips that I'll also be on. So yeah, we'll be trekking together at base camp.
Nice. Welcome, Caroline. Thanks for joining us as well as Brooke. One of our EverTrekkers. She's this is awesome.
Brooke. Brooke's a legend. Real life Wonder Woman.
And she'll tell you. I mean, she's been to the Altitude Center herself. So a big shout out to Altitude Center and to Brooke. But Brooke's like probably. I mean, she won't mind me saying this, but I hope. But when we were on Achille, she was certainly one of the fittest in the group. Didn't necessarily mean that she's ultimately the best of altitude, because we're all the same. We all acclimatize the same. So sorry, going back to what we were talking about earlier. But Brooke is very, very good at high altitude, I have to say. She
loves it. I mean, she's going to come back to Aconcagua. I think she's even going to do an Everest climb and stuff like that. So, Brooke.
She's got to do Mount Triglav first. I think she's climbing, if I remember right.
That's a baby hill. That's a baby hill. She wants to come back and do Aconcagua and an island and Mera. One thing, Gavin. Hello, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Gavin, how you doing, mate?
Did I get it beforehand as backup? And just have it there in case. Obviously, biggest concern being the little man going with us. Okay, yeah. So yes, I did get it beforehand, mainly because I'm a little bit sort of overly cautious about taking anything that I don't know the source of. However, our guides do have it, and that is like proper legit Diamox, so it is safe to take. It's the same level, but being the sort of hyper prepared guy that I am, I also like to have my own just in case, and it's handy to have it there. But yeah, if you arrive at the mountain and you don't have it, or if your bag goes missing, or if the guide feels you need to take a tablet right then and you don't have it with you, the guides do have a fully equipped high altitude medic kit with Diamox and lots of other stuff for your stomach and things like that. But yeah, I got it myself. Really easy to get. So I I went to Nomad, and I got all my inoculations there for all the nasty things I didn't want to get. And whilst I was there, picked up some Diamox. Oh, and a diarrhea kit.
I thought you were going to call it something else then.
Yeah, I almost did. We call it the Brad Pitt kit for obvious reasons. But I bought that and everyone was laughing at me and joking. And I think, in fact, I bought it with Andy and Steve Bolschweiler.
Yeah, you did.
They laughed at me. And who used it?
Yeah.
Steve.
Hey, I bought my own.
You did get your own, yeah.
I just want to say as well, Gavin, I absolutely love your profile picture there, mate. Is that what you're going to be wearing to Everest Base Camp? That'll be good. Because we get plenty of heroes on the trip, but I love that. That's awesome. Cheers, Gavin. Great question, mate. It is very important. I mean, I used to be, sort of talking 3.5, 4 years ago. And my mind's changed on Diamox a lot. I've used it basically a half tablet for one night, so it probably doesn't count. So I've never used it personally, but I've had family use it. I've had really close friends. Loads of our EverTrekkers have used it. It's really can be trip changing as a reactive substance. It's like, Dave, you've said before, isn't it? If you've got a headache, you'll take, just generally like in life, you'll take headache pills. If you're really struggling with diarrhea, you'll take sort of, Diololite to rehydrate or something to stop you like Imodium,
That's exactly it. Yeah. If you're on the hill and your knee hurts, take ibuprofen.
Yeah.
If you have a headache, take paracetamol. if altitude is causing you problems, then you can take Diamox, amongst other things. It's not a it's not like a one-stop elixir. You have to still hydrate 4 to 5 liters of water a day. You have to eat good meals or eat as much calories as you can. You have to walk very slowly and manage your pace. And then if you're still experiencing difficulty, Diamox will be the final piece of the puzzle that makes you feel, if not great, good enough, which is all that matters. Side effects is mainly just tingling, but really strange specific tingling, like one toe in the middle of your foot, half your tongue, like tip of your ear.
Weird, right? Yeah, you said you've had it in weird places.
Yeah, but then but mainly I get it sort of here and down my throat. It feels like tingly and tickly and stuff like that. So but it's annoying, it's not unpleasant. Compared to altitude sickness, it's a walk in the park.
Sorry, I put Andy up on the screen here. Hey, Andy. Thanks for joining us, mate. Sorry it's taken a while for us to get to your question there. You mentioned actually came with us to Everest as well. I know you had mild symptoms. Yeah, beetroot. You know what? It's a good shout. We've got a big part of the community is a guy called Ed Tooley. I don't know if he's on here. Ed, if you're watching, mate, do say hello. He's actually a nutritionist, and he works with a lot of people in the UK in sports nutrition, and he, has got some really, really good knowledge there. So I think definitely, if Ed is watching, I always like him to comment, because he always comes up with these, like, you should take this or you should take this. Especially if it was the iron, because apparently your iron levels do get lower at altitude. Ultimately, all these things that help, can make you feel better. Personally, I used to take like some supplements every day. So I used to take like vitamin C tablets, just to sort of take the edge off, if you like. It's not going to, it doesn't mean that you're going to be miles better, but maybe it worked up here.
That's it. I mean, that's the most important thing. If you find something that works, it doesn't matter whether it's scientifically working in changing your body. It just matters that it's working up here. I take a multivit every day when I'm trekking. Mainly because I try to, just replace stuff that you're getting a very similar diet for like quite a long time. But and I like to think that it makes me feel better, and because of that, I think it does. Yeah,
it does. I mean, there's certain things like that. In terms of supplements, definitely. I mean, it's always worth, because Kevin's dropped in. Hey, Kev, how you doing, mate? It's always worth going and speaking to your GP about anything. We always highly recommend it, especially if you've got any pre-existing stuff going on. Medical conditions. We say have a chat with your GP, and they would suggest that if you've got like a deficiency in something, then you can take that too, on your trip. It's like anything. Like myself, I got asthma, so whenever I go high altitude, I have my asthma stuff with me, because it's what I need. It's what I need because that's what's happening with me. But everyone's different, but Kevin sort of mentioned there. Kevin made base camp last year, I believe, and it's great to check beforehand, because if you're going to be taking something, and you're already on something, or you've got like you mentioned about potassium levels, then there's something that needs to be chatted about. So good point, Kev. Definitely speak to your GP. We always highly recommend it. Or the guys at Nomad, this is their specialty in high altitude trekking. I'm always on the flip side of this, and it's sometimes you have to be, because I've had some feedback of customers that a lot of doctors they don't like prescribing Diamox, and it's always because some GPs aren't special, their niche or their specialty isn't high altitude trekking, isn't high altitude medicine. So sometimes if you want to speak to someone around that, then it's good to speak to a specialty. Like if you go to Nomad, some of them there are doctors who deal with high altitude medicine. Obviously they do a more broad range of things, and if you're on medication, it's good to check. But it's always worth speaking to a specialist when it comes to things like that. Just obviously just our opinion. I always think it's important. So cheers, Kev, and hope you're well. I do keep up to date with you on Facebook, mate. So good to see you doing well.
I think the one thing about Diamox as well that I don't think we mentioned yet is that if you are taking Diamox, the one thing you have to do is drink loads of water. Because like altitude, your body will start adjusting to altitude, and part of that process is you'll pee a lot. You'll naturally be dehydrating yourself anyway. When you take Diamox, it kind of speeds up that process. So
it's diuretic, isn't it?
Yeah. So when I was perfectly fine, slept through the night. As soon as I started taking Diamox, I'd have to get up once or twice and go to the toilet like an old man. So, but yeah, you replace that, so make sure that you really do stick to your 4 or 5 liters a day. If you're drinking like 2 liters a day and you're on Diamox, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah. You've got to really, it's the most important thing. I think if we could talk about the success of anything to do with our trips, especially when it comes to the percentage of people who go there and who make Everest Base Camp or Top of Kili, wherever you go, Island Peak, it's that they all hydrate enough. Because we bang on about it so much, and if you like, Brooke's probably fed up with us talking about it because she spent so much time with us, but yeah, we bang on about it so much because it's so important. You get this right, I promise you, it will make a hell of a difference, and it increase your chances of getting to whatever your destination is. Just make sure you put it in water.
One of the other things as well is sunscreen.
Yeah.
And also recommend, if you are getting it, bring it with you. Because a lot of the time in the countries, particularly in Africa, they don't really have much use for sunscreen there. So not a lot of places sell it, and they don't really get the good stuff either. So although it might say 40 to 50, it's probably not. So when you're out there, the sun is a real can be a real problem, not only because of burnt skin, that's annoying and painful to deal with, but the UV is so much stronger at altitude, particularly if you're walking across the summit of Kilimanjaro, or like Everest Base Camp, and it's a hot day. That sun's going to be reflecting off the glacier and back up to you, and you run a serious risk of heat stroke or heat exhaustion, which can put an end to a trip or make it very uncomfortable anyway.
And dehydrate you.
Yeah, exactly. So covering up and also applying as much factor 50 as you can. Steve, it was Princess Diana, but so Steve bought this sunscreen called Princess Diana Factor 50 sunscreen, and we're convinced it's mainly water and milk, I think, is what it was.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. That goes back to what you said, isn't it? Is that be careful what you buy locally when it comes to things like that. Take the good stuff from the UK.
And I know those of you that have read Into Thin Air will read John Krakauer's account of getting heat stroke when he was on his way and climbing Everest, where his head basically just got cooked by the high altitude sun, and he was having massive headaches and problems. So sunscreen, I can't, and glasses.
And a decent hat. You can have an EverTrek one, but I would definitely have a decent hat. Dave, I know you wear more of a, it's like a sun hat, isn't it? You call it?
Yeah. I get some stick for it. It's a bucket hat. It's a little bit Happy Mondays on the mountain, but yeah. Brilliant. But mate, it's Happy Mondays hat, and I use it to get my step on. Any Happy Mondays fans there? No. Okay. Yeah.
That probably went over the head of most people, Dave.
Yeah. Exactly. I use a hat like that. It just keeps the sun off my neck, out my eyes, off my head. It's brilliant. Helios sun hat it is.
Lauren's on the comment. She's got a couple more questions just come in off email and messenger. She mentioned it's a bit of a heavy one, I think, because obviously we're talking about the dangers of Everest, and it's always good to of Everest and high altitude trekking as a whole. And someone sort of mentioned around dead bodies on Everest. Dave, I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier around that. Climbing Everest and going to Everest Base Camp are 2 totally different worlds. It really is like when you go to base camp, for instance, you don't really see any of that. I've never seen any, and all the times I've been there, and it's that I think the closest we've ever had to that, I think, Dave, is probably you, because someone passed away while you're up there, right?
Yes, yeah,
but not on Everest as such.
Exactly, yeah, but we didn't really. Unless something terrible happens like that in your group, it's not something that is at the forefront of your mind, no more than it is when you go up to the Ben Nevis or climb any other mountain. There are people that sadly pass away or have difficult experiences in all the UK national parks. So just because we're at altitude doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be faced with certain death and see certain death every day. You know, it's still a fascinating and amazing experience. It'll mostly be joy, you know. And you don't see any of the evidence of what happens when you climb Everest or other 8,000 meter peaks, because that is apples and oranges. That is another it's a dangerous thing to do. Everest has got a lot safer in recent years, but every single season someone will sadly pass away whilst trying to reach the summit of Everest. If they pass away too high on the mountain, unfortunately, that's where their resting place stays. But you can't see it. You don't see it. And although it's tragic and those people should be spared a thought or two when you're in the region, perhaps at Memorial Hill, it's no more disturbing than walking past a cemetery in the UK. You know,
it's exactly the same, isn't it? It's very similar. Quite a touching place, isn't it, when we go there? And I remember the last time I was there, I was freezing because it was quite cold. I think we had a bit of snow, and it actually, someone else has asked about people with Raynaud's bad circulation. What would be recommended for people with bad circulation?
To be honest, Raynaud's is one of those things. I know a friend of mine has it. It's really strange. Like one finger on her hand will go like completely blue. But that's one of those things. It can be managed, but it's about knowing how to manage it. I'm not an expert, but I know you have to keep your circulation going. So, you know, keeping your hands moving and stuff like that. Also, if it does happen, keeping your hands warm. So you might want to consider getting some pocket warmers and things like that to sort of insert into your glove.
Thick gloves.
Exactly. Just so on the really cold days or in the nights, if you do start to lose circulation, you at least keep the heat in your hands. And whatever you need to do. So in that case, we would always say, go to your GP, follow their advice to the letter, and then also, you know, do some common sense things. And there are little hacks out there. So the doctor says, keep your hands warm, and that's all he's told you. You know, you can get really good sort of glove liners, outer gloves, hand warmers. You can even get electric gloves. I think they're popular with skiing. So you can like get a little battery on there and turn them on, and they warm your hands. I've seen them around. You know, I've never bought a pair, but I've thought about it. But I run hot anyway, so the last thing I need is battery-powered heat being pumped into my body.
You're usually with the fewer layers out of all of us.
Exactly.
I think we all needed it then, didn't we? Big time.
Raynaud's, it's a funny one. I think, I'm not an expert, but like I said, you can are those things you can do to make it better, but always speak to your GP first, get their advice.
Good old Byron's just popped in as well. Byron Adams. Hey, Byron, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Byron, how's it going? I spoke to Byron the other day. He's booked on to Kilimanjaro.
Nice. You'll love Kili. It's I know we were just talking about it then, and summit night, you know, you start basically 10:30, 11 o'clock p.m. hiking through the night. You want to make sure you have heaps of layers. I never really hike in my down jacket because they're just too warm. But you know what? I did that night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I lost count of the amount of times that night, how often it was really good, an opportunity, because most of the time we talk about layers, but I'll tend to just trek in a base layer. And then that's it, you know, or put a jacket on if it gets a bit cold. But that day was like, I had to go proper, like 4 or 5 layers.
5 layers? I know, I was like Michelin man. Man.
It was crazy. Like we take them all off when you walk in, because it was getting so I would take the down jacket off. Soon as you stopped when you were high on Kili at like 3 a.m, man, oh man, you know.
Oh my God!
I remember, like
the challenge of layers, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Brooke's hands and feet, I think, were frozen. She had to keep moving. But that was amazing, though. That was one of the best experiences of my life. I'll always remember going up Kili in the night, and that was amazing.
That's what I mean. It's tough, Byron. It's super tough, but you know what? That view from the top, it's one of the best views you can ever have in your life. So I wish you all the best, Byron. Anything you need, comment with some questions. That's what we're here for today. Actually, that's a good one. Actually, I like that. I think I might take that, Dave, because I do ski.
I personally think a ski suit might be a bit overkill for summit night.
It is, yeah.
Because kind of prevents you from having that layering system that we were talking about, because you're wearing an all-in-one like baby grow. And although it's needed on some 7,000 and 8,000 meter peaks, you'd have an all-in-one sort of down suit. On Kilimanjaro, the key is layering, because if it's very cold going up, very, very, very hot coming down, when we got lower and the sun hit us, in the early to mid morning, it was roasting. So yeah, no, not a suit, layers. And if you want some information, Byron, I can talk to you about layering. With the trousers, just some insulated fleece lined trousers. Some people put like a merino wool sort of like long john on as well. And then you want like a warm insulated base layer. Then you want a mid layer, so like a fleece. And then on top of that, you can have like a down jacket. And then I know what a couple of us did was we put like the wind stopper on as well, just to trap heat, and then the down jacket over the wind stopper. But
yeah, the window, wasn't it, more than anything? I think sometimes when it's the cold, and as soon as you start walking, you warm up. But when there's like a 25, 30 miles an hour wind hitting you, it does penetrate. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. You will still feel it. That's why keeping going and stopping for like literally 2 minutes or less.
Yeah,
is the best go. But right, we've got some questions coming through now. Cheers for that, Byron.
I quite like
that helps, mate.
What is the collective name for Yetis? A crampon or a gasp? Judging by the way we're looking at the moment and our hair, I would say
question, Jerome.
A thatch of Yetis might be right. Just judging by the beard and hair, so a thatch of Yetis.
A thatch of Yetis. I got a little quiz later with my family. I might ask him that. What is the
exactly a thatch of Yetis? But Lamosha route, awesome. Yeah, that's what we've just did in February. So amazing. Yes, get it in the UK, because it's always better to have your own. But our guides also have it. So basically, twice the Diamox, twice the protection. So that means that, should you lose yours, or should your bag go on an unscheduled trip or something like that, or if you need some right there and then and you don't have it on you, the guides always have it. But if you have yours as well, extra protection, no need to worry. So it's all about sort of getting rid of those little niggles and worries. And when it comes to trekking as well, I always think to myself, it's like my equipment is kind of like, I thought of an analogy there, but I don't know if I should say it. It's kind of like a condom.
Is it clean, Dave?
Yeah, it's just relatively clean and safe. It's like a condom. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Right. That is a brilliant.
Yeah. So
okay, I like that one. Definitely, I'm gonna use that snippet there as a highlight of the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, but cheers, Jerome. Great to have you with us, mate, and thanks for booking on. Great to have you as part of the community. Claire has a good question, not a question, but Claire has recently booked in, I believe, with her dad, Brian.
Awesome.
Claire, welcome to the community, and thanks for choosing and booking with us for Killy. Again, as we just talked to Byron then, and I believe, Jerome. So Jerome's done it as well. Great trip. It's tough, but you're going on the Lamosha route, which is, in our opinion, the best route. Better acclimatization, also scenic as well. It's amazing. Ooh, Lauren got a fact.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually a flurry of Yetis. Oh, Lauren, don't mention flurry. It's just making me think of McDonald's and junk food. Yeah, it's bad. Actually, with Claire as well, I was thinking, she's trekking with her dad. I might start like a sub community of EverTrekkers called Dad Trekkers. People that have trekked with their dads, because I've done it twice now. And but recently he's broke his leg walking a Chihuahua. Another story.
But he's coming to Tube Car with us, isn't he?
He's coming to Tube Car,
yeah. Joanna had a great question. Do you need something to cover your nose?
Is she saying a big nose? Is that like directed at us?
Oh right, no.
Yes.
Trip rather than
sunscreen.
What's that?
You sunscreen. You can't get glasses with a little leather flap, but you can't help but look like a bit of a nerd. So loads of factor 50. And what I have is like a little, like a lip salve type thing. It's one of them, but it's factor 50 sunblock. No, it's just pure total sunblock. I don't even know if that's like factor 1,000. You just cake it on.
Yeah,
and on your cheeks and stuff like that. So you look like a cricketer, basically, is a look you're going for.
It works. I think Joanna as well. If you come on a trip with us, you'll get your EverTrek buff, and if you've got your own buff anyway. But some people do sort of wear that over here. Some people find it quite restrictive. So not a big fan of it because it covers all your airways. Obviously, you can breathe through it, but definitely, that's something you could potentially use. I do if it's really cold and it's windy, if it's snowing, then use something. Or even if you've got your jacket, you imagine you put your jacket on and you've got it covered up to here, plus your buff, it'll protect you from the elements.
So, what can make a big difference as well is not your EverTrek buff, obviously, but in another buff, maybe another company's buff, cut a little hole, a little slit. Pull it up over your nose, have a little slit by there.
Very good.
Not with the EverTrek one though. They can't be cut.
Valuable for that.
They're indestructible. They're too valuable. They're worth about 10 grand each. So you don't want to do that. But yeah, any other company or competitors' buffs, cut a hole in them and have the hole by there.
No. But as long as it covers you, like I've used some thermal buffs as well, which are a bit thicker. And they are, because again, I quite like being out in the elements and feeling the wind on my face. But if it gets too cold, you're going to need it. Otherwise, you could get frozen cheeks. So I hope that helps, Joanna. So sunscreen and a buff. Right, we got a few more. Lewis always joins, isn't he? Hey, Lewis, thanks for joining us again.
Mate.
He's always on here. Good to see you on Tuesday Tune In. And I think Jerome likes your idea, Dave.
Dad trackers, nice. Jerome, we're going to sort it, mate. We're going to sort it. Ever dad trackers or something like that. Ever pops.
Trackers. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we could have a look. Dave, there's plenty of dads, aren't there?
Not me.
We're saying hello. And also, as well, where is he? Mr. Butters. Morning. Have you just got up, Andrew? It's the afternoon.
To be fair, in isolation, if I didn't open the curtains, the clock is relative now. In fact, I'm sure it clicked backwards the other day. It leads us on to a good point actually, because I know it's quite challenging at the moment, isn't it? I know it's been 5-6 weeks, 7 weeks for some of us who was sort of self-isolating before the lockdown. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some sort of update this weekend from Mr. Johnson. That'll be nice. But we've had a lot of questions around obviously the trips and rescheduling. We're obviously trying to be as flexible as we can. At the moment, all's good for the autumn. As long as people can travel. It'll probably be different. Not going to lie to you. With regards to traveling, to do with like seat spaces, things like that. It's always going to be a little bit different than what we're used to, and I think it'll take time for that. But in terms of trips going ahead, at the moment, all guns, are going to go. Let's try to think then of the wording. All guns ablaze, or fire all of our guns up and explode into space.
I don't know, but the green button has been pressed. Go for the autumn for now, and obviously anything at all, guys. We will update you, especially if you're in the the High Altitude EverTrekkers group. It's kind of where we communicate to our community, as well as if you're on our email list. And a customer, we will let you know anything, any updates. I mean, we're quite fortunate with all of our teams really in country, whether that be Nepal, Tanzania, South America, that we kind of get updated and get told really about things generally before they happen, because our team work quite closely with the local tourism boards. Yeah. So, if we do get any updates, we'll let you know. As always, obviously the press is out there and they'll speculate and they'll say things, but it's good to take sometimes. Take it with a pinch of salt sometimes.
Awesome. Andy, it's taken off. Claire has launched #DadTrackers.
Okay.
Gavin, 3 generations, so that counts. Diane, welcome, Diane. Nanny Trackers.
I think Diane will be on here at some point.
Yeah, why not? We can have Nanny Trackers. Yeah, actually, Brian said that he did the 3 peaks in 24 hours last year. Killy will be a whole different ball game. Actually, do you know what? Doing the 3 peaks in 24 hours is probably the best insight you can get to summiting Kilimanjaro you can do in the UK, because it combines, sleep deprivation, night, day, cold, hot, rain, sun, tiredness. All of that is all compressed into one day on Killy as well. So that's great experience. If you and Claire got up there and did that, then you're in. You've done the preparation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's 3 peaks, 24 hours. I know a lot of some of our EverTrekkers were going to be doing that in June. I know, unfortunately, because of the situation, it's been again. I know it wasn't with us, but there was a sort of group got together to organise it. Yes, it's always a challenge, isn't it? And we're like you. We want to get out and into the back doing what we love. Being stuck in the house obviously is the best thing right now. To sort of protect people's lives, but still doesn't make it any easier. But it will end. It will come to an end, and we'll get back to doing what we're doing, and you'll be able to go on these adventures, and we'll be back trekking again. But I hope you found today useful, Dave. I quite enjoyed today. It's good to see all the regulars on as well. Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics. Talking about altitude and the dangers of altitude. But hopefully it's been a little bit enlightening and stuff like that. And we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on the live, we've sort of been working and collaborating with the Altitude Centre, so we'll definitely update you with any details on that. So because we're putting together some quite comprehensive training plans for all of our trips, in association with them, using stuff that we've learned, stuff that they use as well. And we'll definitely be feeding that out as soon as we can. For us, it's sort of business as usual. So if you have any questions, anything at all you'd like to know on any of our trips, obviously we're doing these lives every week on the Tuesday tune-in, but we're here available throughout the week. So just message us. I know it's the bank holiday weekend, so we're not in obviously over the weekend and Friday, but definitely do sort of comment and message. Ramona, she's always the first on.
Ramona, welcome. Always late, but worth the wait. She's never late. She's usually on time, but still worth the wait.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great.
Oh, Andy, what happened to the podcast? It's still alive. It's still there. It's just a little bit logistically difficult to record, given that we're in one home and Andy's in another. So, but we're recording one this week, I believe. Andy, are we recording the podcast?
Yes, we are. Yes, in the diary. It's kind of Andy, because I know we were doing one a week before. Up until Killy really, and then this kicked off. So it's kind of things are slowed down, and there's other things that almost take priority, but which unfortunately just gets in the way. But the podcast has been really, really popular. We've had some great feedback on it. So it's continuing. It might not be as sort of often as once a week, but probably once every 2 weeks. But we're going to get out some new ones. Got some good things to talk about. Especially during lockdown at the moment. So Andy, I know you're bursting to get another one, mate. We'll certainly let you know. I know you're on an email list. We'll post it on Facebook. We'll get one out to you. Normally on Thursdays we kind of release the podcast. I think the last one we did. Dave, what was the last episode we did on the podcast?
I think it was Battle of the Treks.
Battle of the Treks. You know what? Actually, if you haven't listened to that one already. Although what do we call it? Top trumps for treks, I think was the.
Is that what we did? Oh yeah, that's colloquially we refer to it.
Colloquially.
Yeah. But we're definitely going to do it again. And as soon as we get back in the office, because we have our little studio there, we'll be back to recording one a week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we both love to do. But just managing workloads when you're kind of separated is a little bit difficult. Everyone tends to fall into their own little schedule, so but no, I'm excited to do another one.
I just wanted to pick up on Jerome, thanks for your questions today. I hope we're helping with some of these, but yes, this is an important one because I know I briefly touched upon it about obviously you want to get that out on these trips as soon as possible, and how would the backlog of treks affect next year's itinerary. it won't. So we're quite fortunate in terms of we always have a lot of capacity to run these trips. So a couple of things we've kind of done are, especially like in Nepal, because that's where we, most of our trips go, because that's kind of our, as Dave put it, that's our Big Mac.
Yeah.
In terms of Everest, that's what most people come on with us. We've obviously grown, and we're running different trips now. But yeah, in terms of dates, so what we've done is we've opened up new trip dates. We got the capacity number of guides to actually run almost double the amount of treks that we normally do.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done. We've had to, think on our feet a little bit, because this is a situation that was unprecedented. So
yeah,
we have try to remain as flexible as we can, which is why we've been like we don't charge any people. We've been super flexible with rescheduling.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're like you guys. We want to get on trips like you. I know some people were meant to be there now. And this would be right in the middle of trekking season.
Yeah.
And, we feel for you, because, we're the same.
It is going, yeah. I mean, I hope next year's fine, because, I'm due to go in April. But, we are doing everything we can to accommodate. We are running some things like parallel groups, so where we had one date with one group, we're going to still maintain the date, but maybe run 2 parallel groups. So, although they'll be going to the same place at the same time, you'll have your own guide, your own core group of trekkers that'll be with you, your own porters and things like that. Just a way so we can keep that small group feel whilst managing the increased demand for those individual dates. But yeah, no, really excited. Everything's going well. Our guys out there as well can't sing their praises high enough.
Yeah.
Particularly, I mean, it's been affected worldwide, but obviously we had the largest number of people going to Nepal, and it hit Nepal right smack bang in the middle of March, which is peak, the start of their trekking season. But yeah, I know our guy, Anuj, head of operations over in Nepal, he's ready and waiting. He's like seriously just sat at his laptop.
He can't wait
for information to come that people are on their way, because that's what they love, He replied to me, because he was in the mountains and was walking down. He said it was so sad to see Namche devoid of trekkers and hikers and stuff. And that's one thing that I love about the guys over there, is that seeing you lot go over there and seeing you lot reach base camp and be in the region is a sense of pride and happiness for those guys. So I know as soon as they can, they'll be opening the doors and we'll be ready to get you over there.
Yeah. Exactly, and we'll do it as soon as we legally can. I mean, on a personal level, I am a bit of a risk taker. If there's a flight going, I'll generally jump on it. But I think we all have to manage expectations at the moment due to the severity of the situation. But for us, like I said, we are positive about it. At this point, all basically autumn trips are going ahead, unless we're told that we can't. That'll be the case. So yeah, people like Ramona, I know you've had to reschedule. Obviously going to Annapurna in October. So yeah, Jerome and anyone else that's listening, we're right behind you. If you booked on a trek with us, we're going to get you on a trek. Obviously, we have to try and manage it a little bit differently. A couple more questions come in there.
Yeah, so Claire said, what kind of training do we do in preparation for trips to Kili? Do we train on local hills? Yeah, almost exclusively. So I used to do a lot of running, but I tend not to do so much running now. But cycling, so essentially my training's twofold. I want to improve my cardiovascular fitness. So cycling and hill cycling is really good for that. It also gets you out for long periods of time, which is perfect. And then the other thing is strength and endurance in the legs. And if you're going trekking, I'm a big believer in the best training is trekking. So put a pack on your back, get out on the local hills. We're only an hour from Brecon, so we're very lucky. Wherever you are, even if you live in, Holland, you can go to the gym, put a pack on your back, treadmill on incline, or the Stairmaster, that revolving staircase. So strength and endurance in the legs, and some strength and endurance in the heart and lungs. If you've already fit enough to do the 3 peaks in 24 hours, then you're probably already fit enough. It's about maintaining that. I think if I was training for Kili as well, now I've done it, I would probably look to do like some form of endurance hike as well. Like I know myself and Andy did the Great Glencoe Challenge last year. 26.2 mile trip around Glencoe and Fort William. That's a really good thing. I would also be any sort of 24-hour endurance trek or something like that, just to So the familiar feelings of trekking at night, trekking when you're tired, trekking when you're hungry, that type of thing. But yeah. And Lauren, I think, excellent. Lauren's posted a link as well to the training guide.
Good old Social Yeti. So I mean, a lot of our early sort of stuff. I mean, because some of these guides we wrote in the last couple of years, is obviously it's all around Everest, but it's all transferable. In terms of what you need to do. Obviously, Everest is a bit more of a journey through a landscape, where Kili is you're climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's the same things that you do. Just to get out, pack on your back, do the miles. Sometimes as well, put some consecutive days. So hike on if you can on the weekend.
Good
obviously,
point,
when you're allowed out, do a Saturday and a Sunday, so you know what it's like on the second day to actually walk with tired legs, because that's what you're doing consecutively.
Oh, amazing. I've just noticed Claire has said that they're doing the Great Glencoe Challenge in July before Kili. Myself and Andy and a load of other EverTrekkers will be doing it. So email them and ask to be put onto the EverTrekkers team.
Yes.
And we'll all do it together on our wave and stuff like that. So, brilliant. Do that.
Sounds good. Yeah, that'd be great. It's more the merrier. It's a great. We did it last year as well. It's we underestimated it a little bit. It is tough, but it's very, very fun.
I loved it. It was amazing. What I did was, because I'm an experienced trekker and hiker, obviously I've been in the business a long time and I know everything there is to know. I wore brand spanking new boots on the day of a 26.2 mile walk, and completely just destroyed my feet. But that's complacency for you. I learned a valuable lesson there. Never ever be complacent about your foot health.
Yeah, exactly. Brian asked a good question. What have you guys go on every trip? Yeah, we'd although we'd like to, Brian. Yeah, we run about almost 50 trips a year to Everest. We don't, unfortunately. So one of our, I think of it as our USPs, and things we're quite passionate about, is using local guides. Although we run the business, and I know you obviously with the front of the business, and you see us a lot. We're rarely on trips. We kind of go on some, especially if they're kind of new trips. Like I've done base camp 5 times now. I am going again next year. It's just on a private trip that's happening. But generally, because we have, like, all of our guides have been doing it for a very long time. Like we talk, like just talking about Nepal. We got guys like Bibek, who's summited Everest. He's summited other 8,000 meter peaks. He's done base camp over 200 times. These guys are far better equipped to manage you guys at altitude than us.
Yeah.
Although we're trekkers, we're people who are passionate about this. We are we want to use the best people, and the best people are local guides, in our opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
All of our trips.
So and I think if we did if one of us was on, so that would mean if I did 50% of the trips that we do a year, I'd be dead.
You living out there permanently, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong; that wouldn't be a bad life, but
it's great. It's, we've got a few more questions going in.
Chloe as well. Chloe, it is postponed till 2021, which is a bit of a nightmare. But any of you guys that are booked onto the Glencoe Challenge, email them and ask to be put onto the EverTrekkers team. And we'll all be up there next July. Yeah.
Lauren's made a good point. Yeah, she's put on there. So our social, Lauren's put in about our training weekends. So these are ones that me and Dave are on. We run them in the UK. So basically, it's a chance for all of our EverTrekkers to come together, do a weekend of hiking. We run them in Brecon Beacons. If you can get on there, love to have you with us. They're always fun. We always use it as like a Q&A session. So like on the Friday, you arrive, we go to a pub and do a little Q&A over some food and a beer. Everyone gets to know each other. Then full day out on Saturday. Again, because hydration is really important. So we straight to the pub on the Saturday, and then another day on the Sunday. And really, these training weekends. We always use them. We call them training weekends, but it's not like we teach you any skills, because you don't need any skills to go trek in a high altitude. It's just about getting this right. And we like to think that some of the things we tell you and offer, the training plans we share, we also go through the equipment you need. We bring our equipment and we go through it. They're really good training weekends. So if you want to get yourself in and meet myself and Dave and John as well, who's been on the live, other people, definitely it'd be great to see you on there. But always really good weekends, aren't they, Dave?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I love them. I mean, myself and Andy are always on every one of them, at least one of us, unless, and we only miss them if there's a really, really unmissable thing happening elsewhere in the world, like being in Nepal. But also usually you'll have, you'll definitely have John, the Great Bald Yeti. Usually my old man is there as well. He would never turn down a free breakfast.
Yeah.
But we there's quite often a good mix of like base camp veterans and people that are yet to go, and we all get out there, share our experiences, share our thoughts, ideas, and you'll be a base camp expert before you arrive in Nepal, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's what we like to do. We want to. A big part of what we do is almost we try and educate at least, or provide you with all the information you need. So when you get out there at high altitude, you kind of you know a lot more than the average Joe.
Yeah.
Because you do it does. We know it makes such a difference. I think it's why we have such a high success rate of reaching the destinations. Almost 100% is because we're trying to give you as much information so you can make those decisions. So you've got this right. You're also good in yourself, and you're enjoying it as well. You've got to go out there and enjoy these challenges. That's why remember why you're going on them. Ramona's asked us some good questions, actually. Ramona's obviously an EverTrekker. She's been on our lives quite a lot, and about weight loss. It's I got to be honest. I always used to say that. Don't take this the wrong way, Ramona. But I always say that if you have got weight to lose, you will lose it. I think on the first Everest Base Camp trip, I was probably about 2 stone heavier than I am now, and I lost over 1 stone on that trip. Because it was such a tough time, and you do, your altitude, your body's burning, you're walking every day, and you do lose, a lot of weight. It might be, it depends. Sometimes you get ill, like Dave, you've suffered with your bad stomach a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I'll get a bad stomach if I go to Germany, so just even like, I don't even have to go as far away as Asia. But Ramona's actually quite an interesting thing there. She said about like post EBC altitude sickness.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming she lost weight at EBC, continued to lose weight when she got back.
Yeah.
And then like spots on the back. That's unusual, I think. I know altitude can and affect the mind like after you've been there, but I would say that is very unusual to have that. So yeah, very interesting though.
Your metabolism maybe was still some metabolism there.
That's probably a good point, and I think because I know your metabolism does change, and the way you digest food and process energy is different when you're at altitude. So maybe that process was just prolonged in your body. Very interesting.
Yeah, I like that. It's loads of people as well. It's actually great. I hope that. Good point, Ramona. Loads of people are doing the Glencoe challenge. I can't wait. All right, well, definitely. If anyone's watching, Diane, I know you've asked for the information. I'll definitely pass Social Yeti Lauren. I'll get her to just add the link. If not, we'll do it afterwards. Basically, it's super easy to register. If there's space, I know that normally they do have. It's normally sold out, so I would have to check. I'd definitely check because you have to register with them. It's not through us, so you would have to register through them directly. But as soon as you do register, you can join the team, and it's a good weekend. We love it. We flew up there last time to Inverness. We hired a car, and you can go to Fort William, which is where pretty much everything happens. We stayed in a place there. Anyone who's booked on to that, obviously it's been postponed to next year. I'd love to catch up with you at the event. We're not like anything. We try and go at an easy pace to enjoy it. We get I don't know if Doug or Tam are on here. 2 EverTrekkers. They actually did Killy with us in base camp, but they are quick. I think Tam did it in 7.5 hours. Something like that. It took us 10.5 hours.
10.5. To be fair though, I think I had about an hour and a half lunch. So Tam was real quick.
Yeah, he's a fit guy. But look, guys, great live. We've been on for what's Ramona asked now? Dave, what is that?
Is that traditional architecture literature? To be honest, yes, you can ask us about it. Lauren, would you mind answering?
Very good. It's it's not something that I'm trying to think off the top of my head on that one. But we'll let you know, Ramona, on that one, mate. But great. It's been really good. Thanks for your questions today. Any that do crop up at all, definitely, just post them in. We'll get back to you after the live. We're back next Tuesday. We'll definitely get a podcast episode out from now until then. Probably Thursday. What are we on now? Tuesday. God, it's mad, isn't it? It actually goes crazy. But yeah, other than that, guys, obviously we'll see you in the group. Yeah. And we'll catch up with you soon.
All the best, guys. Thanks for joining.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks. Bye.